Let's try this. Well, that certainly is doing something different. Let's count 2. Let's try this. Well, that certainly is doing... There we go. Step 1. Step 1 solved. We got ourselves some volume. Now we got ourselves some real gain. So we're going to turn the gain down. We should have brought some water in. We're very parched. Very, very, very parched. Okay. Now, I thought that last Friday's reading of Zephaniah, where if you weren't here, where the doom and gloom... Ooh, Zephaniah is a really, really short book, too. Is this even part... It's in the Bible, but is it part of the Bible? So, what we read in Zephaniah is basically that God is very, very, very angry that no one respects him the way that he believes that he deserves to be respected, and he will bring his furious anger to those who oppose him. But there might be a way out. There might be a way out for us, according to the short book of Zephaniah. Shameless nation, come to your senses before you are driven away like chaff blown by the wind, before the burning anger of the Lord comes upon you, before the day when he shows his fury. Turn to the Lord, all you humble people of the land who obey his commands. Do what is right and humble yourselves before the Lord. Perhaps you will escape punishment on the day when the Lord shows his anger. No one will be left in the city of Gaza. Ashkelon will be deserted. The people of Ashdod will be driven out in a day, and the people of Ekron will be driven from their city. You Philistines are doomed, you people who live along the coast. The Lord has passed sentence on you. He will destroy you, and not one of you will be left. And then it just he's very upset at everyone. Very upset at everyone. Jerusalem is doomed, that corrupt, rebellious city that oppresses its own people. It has not listened to the Lord or accepted his discipline. It has not put its trust in the Lord or asked for his help. Its officials are like roaring lions. Its judges are like hungry wolves, too greedy to leave a bone into mourning. The prophets are irresponsible and treacherous. The priests defile what is sacred and twist the law of God to their own advantage. But the Lord is still in the city. He does what is right and never is wrong. Blah, blah, blah. La, la, la. Oh, I found the positive part. Okay, we're going to jump to the end, which is a song of joy. And we'll see if it's good. We'll see if it elicits joy within us and ourselves. Sing and shout for joy, people of Israel. Rejoice with all your heart, Jerusalem. The Lord has ended your punishment. He has removed all your enemies. The Lord, the King of Israel, is with you. There is no time now to be afraid, but you were so mean to everyone earlier. The time is coming when they will say to Jerusalem, do not be afraid. Do not let your hands hang limp. The Lord your God is with you. His power gives you victory. The Lord will take delight in you and in his love. La, la, la. But it seems a very difficult thing. It seems a very difficult thing to please this God from within this book in a way that doesn't almost just fill you with doubt that you can't possibly achieve his incredibly lofty aspirations for us. It's frightening. I think it's frightening believing in God, or if not God, then just believing in a higher sort of spirit power. I don't know if I'm afraid of. I'm afraid often. I'm afraid that I'm not doing things right, that I'm not doing things properly, that I can't sustainably be myself, which is what I think I am called to be. there's so many pressures to be something otherwise. There's so many pressures to change who we are, to change how we act around others, and it can often become confusing or lead to a lot of doubt as to whether or not the person that you feel inside, the person that you feel that you were created to be, it can be really difficult to manifest that person sometimes. And if you do wrong, and if you do a little bit wrong and start sliding into some other representation of how other people want to perceive you, and you notice it, do you then fear, like in the book of Zephaniah, that you are going to be ground down into absolute nothing by this wrathful God who is upset that you have betrayed, your purpose? I mean, this book talks a lot about cities, but we're all cities. We're all YouTube channels. We're all corporations. We're all money. We're all money machines, aren't we? And now to a website. Our second reading is, oh no, continuation of the previous essay. Okay, so now that I'm questioning myself appropriately, we should all be questioning ourselves. But part 1 of 3 from religiostolerance.org. Was Jesus of Nazareth straight, bisexual, or gay? Terminology, we know what gay is. Indications that Jesus did not have a homosexual origin. Oh, this is too many specifics. Whether or not Jesus was sexually intimate with Mary Magdalene, yes, of course he was, you goof. Indications that Jesus may not have had a heterosexual orientation. In the Gospel of John, the disciple John frequently refers to himself in the third person as the disciple whom Jesus loved. One might argue that Jesus loved all his followers in a non-sexual way. Thus, to identify Jesus' love for John in a special way might indicate a sexual relationship. The disciple was the beloved. He was in a class by himself. During the Last Supper before Jesus' execution, the authors of Gospel of John describe how the beloved disciple laid himself on Jesus' inner tunic, his undergarments. Well, this is really inflammatory. Who cares? During the crucifixion, Jesus is described as seeing his mother and an unidentified man, the disciple standing by whom he loved. Again, Jesus probably loved all of his 12 or 70 disciples in a non-sexual manner. Whichever number. Well, Jesus, okay, all right, well, that's the first Jesus article that I don't really want to read. Oh, all these extra Bible books that we're dealing with here. And now we're going to go to my favorite journalistic system in the world, Vice, who, this episode's from a year ago. Let's read this. The holidays wouldn't be the same without a war on Christmas. The annual embittered pleas from evangelicals to keep Christ on Christmas have now become... See, I don't like Vices. The really dumb question, would Jesus celebrate Christmas? I'm not reading that. Why are people sending me Jesus-based articles that are of highly minimal value? Would Jesus celebrate his death? What was that sound? Am I excited to celebrate Christmas? Perhaps that's a more Perhaps that's a more interesting question. It's coming up. It's coming up. The big old maybe 2016 year birthday arrives very, very soon. And it's just become so commercialized. My birthday has. I think I'll not be celebrating it this year, if that's okay with everybody. I think I'll sit this one out. I think I'll find another way to celebrate being me than the day when everyone else celebrates being me. I think there are more. I think that would be involve a lot of negative pride that would upset the God of Zephaniah were I to celebrate such idolatry. It's so fascinating. Why do we need to wrap it around the guise of, well, I guess it's important as a religious entity for a lot of people, but it's just the coming together, the coming together of families around the common purpose of love and togetherness on an annual basis, just before the winter's about to set in and the temperatures are about to make everything a little bit less enjoyable and make being with other people a little bit more difficult. Why it matters that this sort of hybrid God-human, born of questionable parentage, perhaps God, perhaps Jesus' mother slept with someone else, and Joseph was kind enough to see her through the term of the pregnancy. Like perhaps none of it's as magical. I think religion works a lot better if we didn't perceive it to have a magical component at all, if it wasn't so majestic, but it was just, if religion was as strong between me and one other person as it was between a nation, that faith in each other begins with the single simple step of believing in the person who's closest to you. Possibly.